there's winning and then there's being an entertaining fighter that people actually want to watch and people actually are excited to watch. And like, oh, and you hear them screaming in the crowd, like you're just sitting there and you're just doing nothing. It's not exciting. It's a sport. You got to get people excited about it, and especially us being, I think we're the two. I don't think a females have ever headlined the card for Eternal. So taking that into like account, I'm like, hey, this is a big opportunity. Like, let's really put on a show and give it everything we've got, and like not let it be a boring fight, which I don't think it's going to be.
Oh! First of all, introducing our challenger.
Coming out of the blue corner.
He's going to step in, and he does. It's all over. Let's bring on the boom. This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here once again on another edition of the Eternal Insiders Podcast. We are being joined today by one half of the upcoming women's flyweight title fight main event at Eternal 84, that card at the Liberty Hall in Sydney, New South Wales. Please join me in welcoming back to the show Freestyle MMA's own Amina Hadaya. Amina, thank you for joining me here once again. How are things with you today?
Yeah, things are great. I just finished my spider this morning, so that's like our Shark Tank. So I'm feeling good once that's done. Can enjoy my weekend till sparring tomorrow. So I feel a bit relaxed now that's done.
I like it. I mean, I think the last time I talked to you, I think I caught you in just those little gaps as well that you kind of had, like straight out of the gym, just back home for a little bit, straight back to the gym. So it's just go fuel the time, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. There's like little gaps between the day. I'm like, chill, back to the gym.
Well, that's why we certainly appreciate your time being here. So thank you very much once again. Now for this one, we're straight back into the fire. I mean, we're coming off barely 3 months removed from your last fight against Courtney Martin. So how far away, or how past removed were we from that fight when you first found out that this upcoming title fight was a possibility against Jacinta?
How fast? What? Sorry.
How far removed from that fight? So how soon after the fight with Courtney did you find out that this was going to be a possibility to fight Jacinta for the title?
Well, we were trying to get fights. I'd been trying to get a fight pretty much straight away because it generally takes a lot longer being a girl and being like there's not many girls in Australia. So we're trying to get a fight on UAE to get me back over there, and then literally like probably 9 weeks out from the date of the fight, we got a message. Joe messaged me. He goes, "Do you want to fight Jacinta?" And I was like, "Yep, done." 2, 3, 4 days later, he goes, "Do you want to fight for a title?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And that was it. And it was locked in. So it wasn't much. Like I didn't have to think about it at all. It was kind of like, "Yep, let's do it. Let's take this opportunity and let's go." So. And then soon after that, I got a message from UAE. We were like, "Oh, we'll do this first, and then we'll see what happens."
Okay, so at least we got some offers on the table, right? Because as you said, it's hard for you to sort of get a fight as a girl, but we got an upcoming title fight, so that's very exciting. No hesitancy on your part as far as accepting that fight.
Nah.
I love it.
We've trained together. We're comfortable. Like, I've got nothing against her at all. Like, we used to train together, literally. So, I feel like we're both going to bring it, and I feel like it's going to be a really good fight. Very exciting.
No, and I did find that out recently when I talked to Jacinta that you guys have trained together, and I do want to get into that in a little while. We'll talk about that because it's an interesting tidbit in the lead up to this fight. Just going back to your last fight against Courtney, when we had you on the podcast and we talked about that one, I thought an incredibly impressive performance, and so did the vast majority of people. I understand fighters are very critical of themselves. You said you were happy, but not happy with sort of certain points and everything, I guess, from a technical standpoint. Now that you've got a bit of distance from that fight, a few months removed, do you still have the same thoughts in terms of your performance now?
With that fight, yeah. Like, I mean, I definitely could have done more in certain situations. But I overall, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I was a lot more calm and all that. Like when I'm usually fighting, I'm not as calm before the walkout. But like, I was a lot more calm this time, and I think that definitely played a part. But still a bit critical of some of the things I could have done a lot more in some situations. So I feel like I could have definitely finished the fight when I did drop her. I can't remember if it was the second or the third. I definitely rushed that point, but you just learn from it.
Now, was there any, we just obviously said, there's no real downtime for you in terms of coming from that fight into this fight. I know how busy you are. You're obviously doing your own training, but you're up at like 4 a.m. doing like PT classes and everything, or 5 a.m. and everything. I mean, you're here doing interviews, like it's just no rest for the wicked. After that fight with Courtney, was there any sort of downtime for you whatsoever, or was it just straight back into the gym straight away? Like nothing for you, just right back into it?
Nah, I don't see that. I don't know, like unless I've got like this massive holiday booked, or I've got like Like I don't like taking time off. You know what I mean? You're not going to be like, don't get me wrong. It's good to take time off. It's good to have a break. Good to change up your scenery. But I wanted to stay busy this year, and I said that I wanted to have 4 fights this year, and I don't see the point in taking that day off or letting myself go. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll eat, and I ate so much food, and it was all good food. But I like to just get stuck straight back into it. And my partner was having his pro debut in Melbourne, so it was kind of like, we'll both wait till that's done, and then it ended up being my birthday, and then we had like 2 days away in Sydney, and then that was it. It was straight back into it, really.
Now, I don't know if these were photos from another time, but I saw on Instagram recently photos of you in Abu Dhabi. Were you in Abu Dhabi recently, or were they just older photos that you chucked up?
They might have been older photos
Okay.
from when I fought in UAE Warriors.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe like you'd got over there for a bit of training recently or something like that. I'm like, man,
Oh,
you're
nah.
like, okay. I was wondering about that. I thought like, I wanted to ask them, like, maybe there were photos from a time that you went over. I think maybe one of your training partners you were with from your gym.
Tara, yeah, she comes
Tara?
over with me.
Okay, sure. Yes. All right. So we've been home for the entire one for this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, just in terms of your fights, I mean, you know, still very early in your professional career, but I mean, both locally and internationally, I mean, you're pretty well traveled. I mean, you fought, you know, locally close to your gym. You fought in Victoria. Of course, you fought in WA recently. You fought in Abu Dhabi. This one coming up for this title fight, a little bit closer to home, up in the Big Smoke in Sydney. Very exciting. How, you know, just in terms of that, how much more comfortable or even how much more exciting is it for you to be able to have a home game for both you girls, you know, given that there's a title on the line, it's a main event, and all your friends and family are obviously local, you know, what's that sort of like for you in terms of being able to fight at home?
I mean, it's great. Like I love having my mum in the crowd. Like she used to be very hesitant to come and watch, but now you just hear her screaming and yelling. And I know I like. Don't get me wrong, I like a crowd, but sometimes, especially when it's like big fights, I do like to have that separation for me to just really focus on the task at hand. If that makes sense. But when I'm in there and like everyone's yelling and screaming, like I love it. It's like, and if you hear me at fights, I'm the loudest person in the room. Like I do not stop.
As in when
I'm
you're
for,
like a
a week.
fan or something like that on the other side of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when my partner fought, it was just like, and when Colby fought, I was just did not stop yelling. It like even Justin's fighting this weekend, Kasiv's fighting this weekend. I'll literally just be yelling at the TV screen. Like I know they can't hear me, but I can't help myself.
I get it. Yeah. You're like, are you familiar with like Eddie Alvarez and his wife? Like, you know, with her in the crowd? You heard her?
I think I've heard about her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something else. Like she's just got this like
That's
high pitch,
me.
like Eddie. Like everyone's like, what is going on? So that's you with your partner, like in
Yeah,
the
pretty
when he's
much.
in. Okay, I love it. You got to have some support there. I mean, speaking of that support, like obviously it's Sydney, as we said, very close to home for yourself. Can we expect a large contingent of Amina Hadaya fans to make the journey up to Sydney?
Oh yeah, like half of it's probably like relatives anyway. Like probably about 10 of them are just like my siblings and stuff like that because I'm one of 6. So like that alone is just there's going to be a lot of people.
I love it. Are you familiar with the Liberty Hall as a venue?
No, but Seb fought there.
Okay.
I just know that Seb fought there. He said it was
Yes.
cool because I think there was people like up the top that
Yeah.
you could like watch.
Yeah.
But that's all I really know. I just know it's this little smaller venue, but
Yep.
like you can view it from all different sections.
It is very cool. I've asked this pretty much of anyone that's come on the pod recently, you know, that's fighting this upcoming card if they've been there. It is very different. Seb has described it accurately. It is like, it's very packed on the floor, little sort of stage, which I had the privilege of watching the last card. Just missed Seb's fight because my flight was late getting in. Very unfortunate there because he had a big time knockout, of course. But yeah, like everyone being up sort of in the stands at the top and like looking down into the cage, it's like a very fight pit sort of atmosphere. It's a very cool venue. So a lot to look forward to there as far as that goes for the venue and for the title fight, of course. Now, Jacinta, as an opponent, you mentioned just before, of course, that you guys have trained together in the past. I'm not quite sure how long ago, but, you know, what are your memories of being, you know, a training partner of hers or at least training with her at some point? You know, what are your memories of that time back then?
I think the first time was when I was at my old gym the first time we trained together. And I think I was probably like 2 fights into my amateur career. I don't think I was, it would have been about like 2 fights into my amateur career. I hadn't had any fights and I was very early on. And I think she had just maybe moved to Karaoke. I'm not 100% sure. But no, it was good. Like we just drilled together and things like that. And then we used to do some boxing sparring as well. So I actually got to Karaoke and I think she was getting ready for a boxing fight. So I did some rounds with her and Tawana. She's a boxer as well. And that was good. And then the last time she come down to my gym was when I was fighting Selena. So that was like 2 years ago. and that's the last I can remember. Really, I don't know. Like you can't like that. We're both completely different fighters to who we were then. So like, yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I don't know. I'm assuming like she's changed a lot since then, and I've changed a lot since then. So it'll be a surprise for both of us when we're in there.
Of course. I mean, like, I guess a lot of fighters probably do cross paths when you're, either from the same city or the same state or whatever. Like, it's not that unusual that, people do train together and then up fighting each other. It does add a little cool layer, but you're right. Like, so much time has passed. It's a different time. You guys are both professionals, and now we got a title fight main event out of it, which is very exciting. Very much looking forward to this one, as a lot of people are. Now, you said last time you were on the show, for your last fight, you felt like you were a little bit more cautious coming into that one. Because you were coming off a loss. You didn't want to sort of show the full arsenal, what you sort of, might show off in the gym, so to speak. This time around, I mean, you're coming off a win this time around. How much do you have to sort of maybe battle in terms of, being cognizant that this is a title fight, this is a big time fight in a main event, but also, coming off a win and wanting to sort of show much, all of that sort of arsenal you're capable of. Is that a bit of a battle you got going on in your head, or is it just, you kind of take the fight as it comes to you?
It's more so take the fight as it comes. I mean, like obviously I'm coming off a win, but it's still, it's 25 minutes. It's not like it's a 15-minute fight, which I've fought before anyway. But you got to pace yourself. You got to play what's in front of you, kind of thing. You can't like you're having a game plan and stuff. Like good, like have a game plan, but it's never gonna pan out that way because you don't know what the other person's gonna do. You don't know what they've been working on. They could be a completely different fighter to what they have done in previous fights, if you know what I mean. So. Obviously, you're going to be cautious in some aspects, but once I start to figure it out and feel comfortable and land things and feel her power kind of thing, then I'll start to open up a bit more, which I think generally is what happens with most fighters. Like you kind of just feel it out and then kind of go from there.
No, I mean, even from a fan's perspective, I mean, this is a fantastic matchup. I mean, two excellent strikers. I mean, yourself and Jacinta in the main event, flyweight title, as we said. So much to look forward to in that regard. Jacinta in terms of an opponent, at least equal to or probably your most experienced MMA opponent that you sort of faced to date. Given that you're both, such well-credentialed strikers and everything, and it's sort of almost being billed as that kind of, what do you think sort of personally has to be the difference for whoever's going to come out on top?
Who wants it more, I guess. Yeah, I like, obviously she's a strawweight coming up to flyweight, so that's another thing as well. I'm probably going to be the bigger fighter. But then again, I can't count that out. I've fought at 54 before, and those girls are still massive. So like,
sure,
I can't really play much on that. But yeah, I think it's going to be who wants it more and who really gives it all when we're in there, I guess, and who lands more and feels more and hurts the other person more. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just kind of like when I'm in there, it'll all come into play, and then I'll know what to do and how it's going to play out.
I mean, just on that, and again, I know a lot of time has passed as far as when you guys, trained together sort of back when and everything. Like, Jacinta, to me, doesn't look like she's certainly a small fighter in any stretch. You said you would be obviously the bigger fighter. Do you recall feeling like the bigger person sort of back in training? I know probably a lot's changed in terms of bodies and everything, but do you think there is sort of a noticeable advantage in terms of the size for yourself?
To be honest, I am a small flyweight, so probably not what it would normally have been if she was like a bigger strawweight, but I think we're kind of probably the same size.
Yeah, like she's a bigger strawweight, you're a smaller flyweight kind of thing. So it's sort of like,
so we're kind of like meeting in the middle, you know what I mean? Because I think like that's what I mean. I can do my catch weights at 54 kilos and I feel great. So like, I don't know. I feel like we're probably the same size, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, you talk about matchups and everything as well. I mean, last year you faced overseas a very elite striker on very short notice. A girl with, I think you said, one of China's best boxers, or maybe China's best boxer, a girl that's got a kickboxing win. I think over Valentina Shevchenko. Again, a fight that you took on 2 weeks' notice. Didn't go your way, of course, but I mean, you went the distance with her on the short notice. You certainly had your looks. You certainly had your moments in that fight. Given everything that was sort of stacked against you and her striking credentials and the fact she was also the much bigger fighter, and that was certainly obvious, is that something that gives you, a little bit more confidence coming into not just this fight, but I mean against any of your fights, especially when the opponent, is a credentialed striker?
Yeah, and I think I've said this in other interviews before. I might have even said it to you before. Like, no one's ever going to hit me as hard as that as hard as it hit me, kind of thing, and as hard as she hit me. So I've got that kind of confidence. Like, don't get me wrong, I got rocked in the first round, and I was like, nah, I'm not giving up here. I'm going to push through this, win or lose. I'm not giving her a finish, kind of thing, because she rocked me well in the first round. But as I said, like, I don't think anyone's ever going to hit me as hard as she hit me. And I still stood there, still stand there, still banged, and I still gave it my all. So, yeah, it definitely gives me some more confidence when I'm in there to know, like, it's going to take a lot to get me down.
I mean, for fans that aren't necessarily as familiar with you, I mean, more and more people becoming more and more familiar with you as time goes on. Of course, we've got the title fight coming up and so much more people being introduced to you. But I mean, you said before, and a lot of people know it, that you love to stand and bang. Like, you're happy to take one to sort of give one. You've never shied away from that. I assume the mentality is still the same going forward.
Always. Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sit there and just grab onto someone and wrestle them and, like, don't get me wrong, it's MMA, you can do that, but it's just like there's winning and then there's being an entertaining fighter that people actually want to watch and people are actually excited to watch, and like, oh, and you hear them screaming in the crowd. Like, if you're just sitting there and you're just doing nothing, it's not exciting. It's a sport. You got to get people excited about it, and especially us being, I think we're the two. I don't think a females have ever headlined a card for Eternal. So taking that into like account, I'm like, hey, this is a big opportunity. Like, let's really put on a show and give it everything we've got, and like not let it be a boring fight, which I don't think it's going to be.
No, 100%. I mean, not only that, it's the first time that the flyweight title is being contested for Eternal MMA as well. So a lot of firsts here. And for anyone, again, that hasn't seen your fights, please go back and check out Amina's fights. That fight against Courtney Martin, like showing off some of those hands and everything. As we said in the last podcast, the 1-2s. I mean, the striking is just crisp. Certainly had me out of my chair. I think last time we talked to your training partner, former Eternal MMA featherweight champion Justin Van Heerden, did regale us sometimes, you bouncing some of those combos off his head and everything. So, it's very much a weapon for yourself and very exciting coming in against another striker like Jacinta Austin. Now, a couple more before I let you go as well. Look, if you pay attention to some of the rumors out there, and I say, look, they're just rumors at this point, sort of who knows, but it's sort of out there that Jacinta comes away with a win here. She may be in sort of the crosshairs of the UFC for a contract sooner rather than later. So for yourself, I mean, look, there's a bit more on the line here, right, than just a title. I mean, of course, she's got a couple of fights more ahead in her career, so it makes sense. I mean, you come in, especially with MMA, of course, like, you come in and get a win here, right? There's not just the title on the line. You get to steal some of that thunder and put yourself on the map more than ever. Is that any extra incentive for you to get this win beyond just winning the title?
100%. Like, Jacinta's now ranked number 1 pound for pound. I'm number 3. So I have a good feeling that, like, when I win this, it's gonna put me into the right direction. Whether it's UFC next or whether it's the next offer that comes through, if I need 2 more. But having that belt and taking the number 1 out will be huge for me, regardless of what the next step is. Like, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge winner for me. And I know obviously Jacinta's got a great track record with, striking and fighting and all those things. And, she brings the fight, which is great. So I think she's obviously very well known now. So I think once I get in there and I get that win, it's going to be huge for me. And I feel like a lot of people will open a lot more doors for me as well, not just with like UFC, but even other promotions as well. So yeah, it should be I'm very, very excited.
Amina Hadaya puts the title around her waist for the very first time, the Eternal Flyweight title, in front of her friends and family. Sold out venue on UFC Fight Pass. How does she get the job done? What do you visualize when you think about that moment in your mind? What does your mind tell you? What does your heart tell you in terms of visualizing that moment?
I don't know. Like, everyone's always going to say they want to get a finish. They want to get a finish. Obviously, everyone wants to get a finish, but I just want to put on a good show, and whether I get a finish, whether it goes the distance, whether I get this, whether I get that, like, my biggest thing is I just want to put on a show, and I want to be able to show all my tools and show that I can do this and that I can get in there with the best and that I can win. So I haven't really got like a set way of how I'm going to win. It's just what's in front of me is how I'm going to play, and then we'll go from there.
And the fans get to reap the rewards of that one. As we said, huge title fight main event coming up at Eternal 84 on March 24th. At the Liberty Hall in Sydney, New South Wales, Amina Hadaya versus Jacinta Austin. Absolute cracker on paper. Make sure you get your tickets. There's only a few left, so make sure you get onto them fast. If not, you're tuning in live and exclusive on UFC Fight Pass. Amina, thank you for coming on the show once again. I'm personally very excited for this fight. Cannot wait. All the best in the lead up, and we'll do this once again once you put that title around your waist, and we'll come and talk about that big win.
Yeah, beautiful. Sounds good.